right, family. We are back once again. We got a blessing today, okay? I don't know if it's because it's Friday or Thursday or the 13th. I don't know whatever it is. We got a blessing, okay? In the building here today, Artist Storytelling Podcast. And as y'all know, this was something that was inspired by my time in Full Sail. So I got my Full Sail twin sister in the building, okay? She's here to share her light, to share her love, and her candid Candaceness with us today. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So y'all getting it together. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some present to others. And welcome to the Art of Storytelling Podcast, where we are changing our narrative one interview at a time, one show at a time. Her Majesty is in the building. Okay? Let's give it up for our guest, Candace Murray in the building. Welcome to the show. How you feeling? What's good? What's happening?
I am good. Thank you for having me. Definitely happy to be a part of it.
That's what I'm talking about. What are we talking about? So for you, out of all of the places in the world that you could have went to school to further your education, what was it about Full Sail? Let's just start there. What was it about Full Sail that drew you in and share a little bit of your experience thus far?
So, at the before I actually work for Full Sail, I work in our admissions department. It was just like a time in my life where I had dropped out of college and I was like, okay, well, I need a job. I need to get the bills paid. I need things to do. And a recruiter had actually found me and it was like, hey, I think you'd be a good fit. So I ended up working at Full Sail and I had been working here for about 2 years. Talking to a lot of like students because everyone does an admissions interview coming into Full Sail. So that's what I used to do. I used to talk to people about their dreams, talk to people about like what they wanted to do. And um, I never knew what I wanted to do. I still kind of don't know what I wanted to do. But that really made me refocus on like my educational goals because I was talking to people all the time about like, yeah, you can go to school, you can do this, you can do this. But I was like, wow, I've never had this conversation with myself about like what I can do and about me going to school. And I was always drawn to media communications very early in my career here at Full Sail because I was like, that program goes over everything. There's not a lot of math because Full Sail does have a lot of tech programs, and I was like, that's not for me. And so, yeah, I had eventually went back. I finished my associate's degree at a community college here in Florida, and then started my bachelor's degree in September of last year. So I feel like it was timing. I always tell people Full Sail found me. I did not find Full Sail, even though I live about 15 minutes away. I never knew about Full Sail before I started working here. So definitely timing, and I'm at where I'm supposed to be.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You understand? Like, look, destiny is a real thing.
Right.
So, not coming from the college background, you know, what was the decision maker for you to pursue higher education outside of high school?
So I am a first generation college student. I'm also the firstborn from I'm my mom's only child, but my mom is an immigrant from Jamaica. So
Mm,
there was no other option of not going to college. It was always you're going to go to college. So um, it was something that was always told to me, like you need to go to school, you need to go to school. But when I actually got to school, I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like this. I've always liked working and talking to people and helping people. So I've worked in different positions where I've always been able to communicate with people, but there's always people I would end up training that had degrees and I knew they were making more money than me. So I was like, I know that at some point, my work ethic and my ability to connect with people isn't going to get me far enough without this degree. So last year I decided like I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna go back to school. Nerves aside, I'm gonna finish.
all right. So we're here talking about the black narrative and you having Caribbean roots. I guess the scope gets broadened very wide. You could understand how mainstream media and the entertainment industry takes your birth culture and flips it around and creates narratives that may or may not represent you properly.
Yeah.
So let's look at that scope and totality. How do you kind of perceive the black experience in America as told by the media and entertainment industry?
Mhm. Um, I always take it a step further with that and look at things as a Black woman. Like, I've been in positions personally where, like, I'm going up for an interview with a white girl and she gets it over me. Um, I always have to just remind myself to be very level-headed. Um, as a woman, I do think and act off of my emotions a lot, but as a Black woman, I can't afford to act off of my emotions a lot. So I have to reel it in most times. And I think that's really, especially even with, with going to Full Sail, you see that most of our instructors don't look like us. Most of the people in the classroom don't look like us. So I have to slow down when I'm speaking to people, and I have to slow down when I'm making moves to do certain things so that even though I feel like I wouldn't offend somebody, I have to make sure that I'm coming off in a more gentle way than I normally would, especially with having my dad is also Jamaican. So I've grown up with a very tough, strict upbringing. So I have to make sure that I don't always represent the upbringing that I had.
So that's very interesting. These things just get layered. You understand what I'm saying? These things
Yes,
get layered.
very.
So, do you think that we receive a proper representation as told by mainstream media or the entertainment industry as black people?
Not at all. I forgot who said it, but it was like everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black. I've always
Paul
thought that.
Mooney.
Everybody wants to listen to black music. Everybody wants to talk a certain way and have a certain aesthetic until black people are getting pulled over or until black people are getting killed by cops. Like, everybody wants to have what we have until it's time to live the life that we do.
So, for you, what does it mean to Candace to be black in America?
That's always very tricky. Being of the light skin, I would say I definitely don't have the same struggles as like darker skinned girls, especially darker skinned girls. I've been told a lot I'm like the token black girl, like I'm the one that they get for numbers and things like that. But that makes it really difficult. That puts me in like a gray area because it's like I definitely am still black, but it's like white people look at me like, oh, you're a little less black than everybody, so that's okay. But really, I'm not. Um, so that's just always been like a very like a awkward spot for me. Um, as far as representing myself, but knowing who I am, it doesn't change anything. Like, I know that I've had the same upbringing as many people, if not a harder upbringing, because my mom was here illegally for a very long time. So I know a lot about the same struggles that most Black people have. My heart skips a beat every time I drive by some police, just like every other Black person.
So, before we get to that next question, in between, how would you like to see black people portrayed in the entertainment industry or by mainstream media? What story would you want to be told?
Honestly, with how we are portrayed now, I would love for them to just leave us alone. If you're not gonna portray us in like a very like regular light, I don't want to see Black people in the media at all. Because a lot of shows now, they are showing exactly what we go through in day-to-day life. And I personally feel like media, like when I watch TV, I'm not trying to see the exact same thing. Like if I'm on Netflix, I'm not trying to see what I saw on the news, like how everybody was like reenacting George Floyd. Like, I 100% felt what was going on in that moment. And I would much rather not feel that every time I watch TV, every time I'm on some show. So I would rather like Coming to America, like I would rather see stuff like that, like happiness, see funny things. Like a lot of Tyler Perry stuff is very controversial in the Black community, but it's funny. Like I would like to see if they are going to portray us, I would rather us I would rather see us having fun and being happy because we have enough stuff to deal with outside of what we see on the media.
So I just wanted to touch on the George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor kind of situation. You know, witnessing that kind of trauma, did it affect you? And if so, how?
I would say for the most part, it definitely affected my work life as well as my, not necessarily my relationship, but it did a little bit. It just made me more fearful of the black men in my life, like fearful of what was going on, where were you, what are you doing, are you okay, just things like that. It definitely made me more stressed out with that. And as far as work goes, it had me looking at everybody like, do you really feel like Black Lives Matter, or you feel like that because the TV's telling you that Black Lives Matter? So I definitely was side eyeing people and Full Sail for a little minute because I was like, you guys had nothing to say, and I felt like I just didn't see the support until something happened.
All right. So let's focus back on Candace. If you looked at your life experience, what are some of the things you're most proud of?
I would say going back to school, I would say the position that I'm in because not many people my age work for Full Sail in department I do. I would say some material things like I have a pretty nice car that I bought myself and I was pretty proud of. But overall, my resilience, I have a tattoo on my arm that says resilience because there were definitely a lot of things that could have been sent my way that could have been life altering. And they were, but they didn't stop me. And it's never going to stop me.
So if you sat with your younger self or some younger black women, we're moving to that. What advice would you give them, or what advice would you give a younger version of yourself?
I would just say, girl, you got this. Like it may suck right now. It may seem like there's no end in sight. It may seem like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but you got this. You will find a way out. You will find a way to make it work. And again, like I can't stress enough how many times I'm sure that everybody's had that moment when it's like, when is this going to end? And the time when it actually does, like some people don't even take that moment to be like, wow, I got here, I did this. But the time when it does end, it's like, it's that sigh of relief. Like it was sent to end me and it didn't.
It's beautiful. I'm telling you, I'm clapping over here. I'm trying to contain myself. I'm on mute, trying to get it together. But it's beautiful. Your insight is very, very profound. Your insight is very profound, and that intuitive nature that you have as a grand connector for life. You know, let's talk about your passion really quick to mentor young women. How did you get into that, and you know, some of those things you can share with us.
I would say it goes back to my mom. My mom came here from Jamaica when she was 9. She had me when she was 18. And just growing up, there was a lot of times where it was like she felt like she wasn't doing the best because she couldn't give me things. And I never felt like my childhood was different because I didn't get a car at 16 or things like that. But I think things would have been different if she had different guidance. So now going into my adult life, I see like I try to find what works for me. So if it worked for my mom and I'm like, I think that's going to work for me, I'm going to see who else did it that I think that I could learn from. Um, and my happiest point of my life, I would say this year was going to therapy. I know a lot of Black people don't go to therapy. Definitely not island people. They don't go to therapy. And I would say I've always been very in tune with how I felt about things, but I've never really thought about how they connected to different parts of my life. So I would say my passion with trying to speak to a younger me or trying to speak to a young Black woman is like, you need to take care of yourself. So there's, of course, Black women, there's always going to be somebody that's going to put up with it, but really there's not. And sometimes you'll miss out on things because you're hurt and you can't let it go, or because you think it's one way and it really could be done a different way. Um, and therapy gives you the space to learn that and to dissect all of that and not be judged, because that's what they're here for.
It's a beautiful thing right there. Therapy. I don't even want to get into that for me, but you know what I'm saying? There is a
Definitely
stigmatism, you
believe
know,
in it for everybody. It's
right?
needed, because even if you go just once, it's gonna open your mindset to a completely different way to even see. I feel, to see yourself.
Yeah, I was in one of those sociology classes, and I remember the movie Antoine Fisher. You know, he
Mhm.
grew up in the foster care system, and Denzel Washington's character in the film gave him a book called The Slave Community for him to understand, you know, corporal punishment in his home. And I grew up in that kind of environment. You see what I'm saying? So I'm in
Me too.
sociology class, and it's like there's something else you could do besides. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but I had to go to my
You
children
don't know
and
any better.
apologize, right? And it was like,
Yeah.
this is how I was raised, you know.
Right.
So I had to reform a moment and then, you know, receive their perspective on it. You see what I'm saying? And like humbly apologize. It's like, yo, I had no idea. This was the
Right.
my frame of reference. You see what I'm saying in regards to correcting deficiencies and
Hmm.
behavior. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
anything else was shunned. So I can agree with you in regards to counseling. So just think about the kind of environment you know subject your loved ones to. You say you love
Right.
them, but you're beating them. You understand what I'm saying? So these were things that I had to get together and
Hmm.
you know go before them and atone. You know,
Right.
and that's not something that my parents would have done or their parents. You know, it becomes a cycle. So, you know, we're breaking cycles with new type of perspectives in regards to life. You know, it's not
Hmm.
one dimensional, it's a varied aspect. So I think it's very phenomenal that you would think enough about, you know, younger women to pour into them and to impart these ways of wisdom too. You know. So, two questions left. You got a lot going on in your life. How important is balance and self care for you? If it exists, if it don't exist, you know, is it something that you go look into to, you know, continue to be great and do what you need
Yeah.
to do?
Um, I feel like Black women just love to be like put together, like to have the nails done, the hair done. I would say that is 100% my self care. I feel good when I feel that I look good. So this is my natural hair, but it's usually braided up, and I got some weave or something going on. But I would say 100% my self care is when I physically feel like, okay, I woke up today and I look like I'm ready to go conquer the world. As far as balance goes, my balance comes when I take a nap. I am grown, but if I'm having a bad day, I will go lay down and take a 30-minute nap so I can just, I feel like that's like my reset to everything, because I do work full time. I work 40 hours a week. I try to go on campus for class. I'm still a student. I am a girlfriend. I'm a daughter. Like, I'm a sister. I'm a niece. I am pulled in all of these different directions. I'm in somewhat management positions working in full sale right now. So I'm pulled in so many different directions. And I'm going to go to sleep. That's what I tell people. I'm going to go to sleep. I am going to take a nap on my lunch break. I am going to sleep those extra 5 minutes in the morning. I'm going to turn this laptop off and go to sleep. So the balance is definitely difficult. I'm also a perfectionist, so I try to have everything. I will push myself. Like, I finished one of this week's assignments on Monday, so I will push myself to do what I can, but when I need that break, I'm going to go to sleep.
That's what's up. Okay. Shout out to the perfectionist in you. Okay. So this comes to the last question of the interview. How would you want people to remember Candace? Your legacy, however you want to word it.
I want to be remembered for my willingness to help people, but also my willingness to make sure that I'm good. Somebody had told me once that I was selfish, and I really like looking at the definitions of words because that's going to tell you what you really mean. So looking at the definition, I would 100% say that I'm selfish, but at the same time, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to do that because I don't like them. It could be that I don't like somebody and I'll still help you, or I'll still try to go out of my way to do something that I can help you with. So I definitely want to be remembered for taking care of others, but definitely taking care of myself.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a powerful legacy right there. You know, selfish. Yeah, it revolves around you because it comes from you to them. You see what I'm saying? So that ish, like it teeters back, and oftentimes we come from generations where it didn't. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
There's
Exactly.
countless of generations of black women who never considered themselves. They considered everything and everyone else other than themselves, and they never felt reciprocity. You know, they
Hmm.
never felt reciprocity. So the fact that you even consider reciprocity, the fact that you even say, "I'm a, I'm gonna go to sleep." You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go
Oh,
to sleep.
that's
You see
for
what I'm
me and
saying?
that's for everybody else. Cause if I don't got sleep, it's not a pretty sight.
Right. So that's a beautiful thing. You know, some of our foremothers, never even took that into consideration. You know, or if they did, they felt horrible about it. Like,
Right.
I can't believe that I'm tired or I'm sick. You understand what I'm saying? So the fact that you consider those things and put those into care, you release our foremothers from that spiritual debt that they incurred over the years. And
Mm,
speak to them, tell them it's okay. Hug your mother and say
yeah.
it's okay. I need you to rest. I need you to take care of yourself. I thank you for those things that you imparted in me, that work ethic, that go getter, that perfectionist spirit that you have over me. You need to chill, mama. I love you, mom. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's okay. You can chill, mama. Like, what is this
Right.
chill thing you talking about now? You understand what I'm saying? But it's okay. You see what I'm saying? And you're okay for them. And the legacy that you will bring forth and those young women that you're pouring into, and even your own children, uh, if that's a path for you, then the world will be affected by
Mhm.
the greatness and the seeds that you sow. So, final remarks for the family before we go.
Just be nice to people. That's it. Everybody should be nice. If you don't know a nice person, be a nice person because everybody needs that. So you could be having a bad day and go take a nap. Don't take it out on other people. Especially with me working for Full Sail. I am that person they call yelling, and I have to talk just like this and keep a level head with it, but just take a breath sometimes.
We're excited for all of the greatness that we will see from you in the future, and we're rooting for you. Okay, this is your cheering section. All right.
Yeah.
So if you ever feel the need to be like, "Yo, I just need to vent," okay, I'm here. You understand what I'm saying?
Thank
I
you.
am here.
Thank
For real. You see what I'm saying? This will be the place where you rest while you're still awake. You understand what I'm
you.
saying? So,
Yes.
mad love and respect to you, and I will see you in the winner circle.
Okay. Thank you again for having me.
All right, we out of here, y'all.
All right. Bye.
Hypno music.